provider for a special edition of the National Sports Report. Tomorrow, 8 Eastern on Fox, Andy Pettitte, Al Leiter. The Yankees will be gunning for their 26th World Championship. Good night.
The 2000 through 2006 World Series, the 2001 NFC Championship, and in February, the 43rd running of the Great American Race, the Daytona 5.
Paul O'Neill, and those young legs, I guess, are just as fresh as ever. Right?
Well, I mean, this ballpark down the line is deep, and if anything happens down the line, if the cutoff throw is low, I mean, you're going to have a chance for some triples.
You know that from having played here, even going as far back as when you were in the National League with the Cincinnati Reds. Is that stuff you factor in even before you go onto the field?
Well, I talked to Derek before the series started, saying that, you know, if the ball's down the line, get out there quick, and we'll try to hold them to a double. But like I said, down the lines, you know, you can get some triples in this ballpark.
Paul, you know, watching this game, if you have a vested interest, it's agony on both sides. Your 3 wins have come by 1 run, and so obviously that catch that we just saw in the 8th inning as Mariano Rivera was getting started was huge. Did you get a good look at that right off the bat?
Well, yeah, I mean, Alfonso hits the ball that way a lot, and you know, those things happen so quick. You can't really. You're just glad when it's all said and done, and you caught the ball and you go home with a win, obviously. But
are you churning inside when this is all going on?
It's gut wrenching. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when you come off this field, it's a great feeling to win another ball game, but you're physically and mentally just exhausted.
Paul, how do you quantify the experience that your team has in the World Series over the last few years in terms of what it's meant to you in this series?
Well, I mean, we've been here, obviously. We don't assume anything. I mean, winning is so great in New York. There's no doubt about it. And losing is so bad, obviously. So, I mean, we play with just to get to that number 4 and go home. I mean,
but is there a different level of relaxation that you can approach a series like this, even against the Mets, Ian, because you've been here before so often?
Well, ever since we clinched and the Mets and the Subway Series was talked about, there's been no relaxation. I mean, this has been written up, and so be it. I mean, the games have been great. I mean, obviously, from a fan standpoint, point of view, they've been great games, and you can't complain about that.
All right, last question. You were struggling. Now you're not. Was this a phone? Was this a phone?
Another one.
Was this a phone call from Ted Williams or not?
I don't know. I just hope I can go out tomorrow and hit some balls hard.
All right, get out of here. Get out of here. And one of the reasons that the Yankee lives are complicated right now and here at Shea Stadium is that a pipe burst at some point during the ball game, and so the Yankees and the normal interviews that would go on in the clubhouse are going to go on out here on the field, and so they're going to be a little bit grouchy as this night goes along.
Organized mayhem.
Now, Howie, I thought one of the most intriguing aspects of this game, and you see the media on the field here at Shea Stadium, and finally the fans are starting to head home. They stood largely stunned, I think, because this was another spectacle here tonight at Shea Stadium. But I thought one of the intriguing parts of this game, and there were many, were the presence of Mike Piazza in his first at-bat against Denny Nagel, and then in the at-bat where he hit the home run, because that dramatically changed how Joe Torre played the rest of the game.
Well, it absolutely did, Al, because as far as Joe Torre was concerned tonight, Mike Piazza hit 2 home runs off of Denny Nagel. Right. A long, emphatic, loud foul ball his first time up, after which Piazza would strike out. And then, of course, a home run that went a long way and really left very little doubt in Torre's mind that he did not have a favorable matchup with Denny Nagel against Mike Piazza. I guess if you were to forecast this thing from the beginning and say that you were going to bring in another pitcher to face Piazza as early as the 5th inning, who would it be? I don't know if David Cohn necessarily would have been the first guy to come to mind. That's how it worked out, but it happened that way because of really, I think, a foul ball.
All right, here we go. Let's go back. First inning, Denny Nagel just getting started. He eventually, as Howie just said, would strike out Mike Piazza, but this has got to scare you. And this is right after Derek Jeter hit the first pitch of the ball game from Bobby Jones way out over the left field wall to give the Yankees a 1-0 lead. And then Piazza came up and hit a very good pitch. This was just an awesome display of power and hitting style, and that gave the Mets belief. That made it 3-2 at that point. And then the Mets got into the Yankees bullpen, as you mentioned, a lot earlier than Joe Torre had thought.
Yeah, and you know, when you forecast this series, and I was one of those who thought that the Mets would have more depth out there in the bullpen. Certainly you factor in Nelson, you factor in Rivera, and you think behind that, that's where the Mets have an edge. One guy who can't be forgotten is Mike Stanton, who's been brilliant during his stint so far in this World Series. So much so that when you combine what he did, the one batter that Cohn faced, Mike Piazza, the work of Jeff Nelson, and of course Rivera to close out, the Mets did not get a runner into scoring position after the home run by Mike Piazza, and of course that home run came in the 3rd inning, so that had a lot to do with the way this game shook out. The Yankees now 1 win away from another World Series championship. Bobby Valentine has just concluded his meeting with Matt Loughlin, and we will let you hear what Bobby and Matt had to say as we go downstairs.
Bobby, these have been very, very tight games. Obviously, the losses have been by 1 run. What has been the difference in this series? What separates these two teams at this point?
Well, 2 games in the series. They got 3, we have 1, and that's really a separation and a couple runs. And what are you going to do? That's what it is.
You were able to get Nagel out of there in the 5th inning with the 2 runs, but down 1. You got to their bullpen, but I guess you got to tip your cap to the bullpen in this game because they were able to maintain that 1-run lead from the 5th inning on.
Yeah, we put a little together here and there, but they make good pitches. Nelson and Stanton, and of course Rivera at the end. Did what they had to do to keep us at bay and kept us off the scoreboard. We had whatever 6 innings to score 1 to tie it. We didn't get it.
All right, last question. Because the games have been so tight, though the road will not be easy, down 3-1, is that something that gives you a little extra hope in this somewhat desperate situation because they have been tight? There's not that much separating the 2 teams?
Well, I think we have a lot of hits left in us, and if those hits come all together in the next 3 games, we'll be in good shape.
All right, the Mets have to feel like they're in good shape tomorrow with Al Leiter going up against Andy Pettitte, and this wild scene on the field continues. It's almost like a clinching in San Diego or something like that, where the players just kept coming out and coming out. But Howie, let's get back now to the key moment of the game. As if this series needed any extra theater, it got it when David Cone was called out of the bullpen, and one of the most stunned looks you've ever seen on a baseball field was Denny Nagel when he retired the first 2 batters of the 5th inning. But in came David Cone and got Mike Piazza to pop up harmlessly to Luis Sojo at second base. And then after that, the parade of relievers came in for the Yankees and did the job.
Well, Jeff Nelson was the first one to follow Cone, who probably didn't know going into that appearance against Piazza that he'd only have the 1 batter. But then Nelson would pitch an inning in a 3rd, allowing just 1 hit. And the line drive double play hit into by Benny Agbayani to end the 6th inning. Obviously, a very big play is engineered by Jeff Nelson. Then, of course, came Mike Stanton, and we've talked a lot about him already.
Huge strikeout there. That was Bubba Trammell. And then he would strike out Timo Perez. And that would be the end of things for, that was actually Kurt Abbott that pinch hit for Timo Perez.
Yeah, because of an at-bat that he had against Stanton in the 1st game.
And then Mariano Rivera came in and was absolutely marvelous, recording 2 strikeouts in the key 9th inning. A fly ball into the glove of Clay Bellinger, frustrating Jay Payton. And then Matt Franco looking at strike 3. So for the Yankee bullpen, a fabulous night. And they win 3 games by 1 run, and that is pressure pitching. Joining us now live on the field is Jeff Nelson. And Jeff, it looked as though in your mind you thought you got squeezed there a little bit.
I don't know. In the heat of the moment, you always think you do. You always think you get squeezed. You always think it was a strike. I'm always asking Jorge if it was a strike. I'm asking the guys on the bench if they were inside. But I'm sure he made the right call, and it wound up working out. Stanton came in, and he did a great job striking out those 2. So it ended up being all right.
And we just showed the double play, the line drive back to the box off the bat of Benny Agbayani. Is that purely a reaction play, or are you able to follow that ball into your glove somehow?
No, those kind of plays, when they hit it back to you, they seem somehow to find your glove, and that's what happened. I mean, my glove was in the right spot, and I think it just found my glove, and I closed it. And in those situations, the guy on first base is always going to run because you think it's going to be a base hit up the middle, and we got a double play out of it.
Jeff, I'm always amazed. You guys, you walk this fine line. 1 walk and maybe you're out of the ball game. How have you found a way to manage your emotions in all these postseason games that you've appeared in?
I don't know. I mean, it just eats at my stomach. The lining of my stomach is very thin right now. I mean, this is the games here have been great. Every single game has been close, and it's easier when you're pitching because you have a little bit of control of what's going on out there. It's harder when you're watching, especially going in the clubhouse. When I came out, it's a 1-run game, and at any time that these guys could tie the game up, and you're just gut-wrenching every time and every pitch.
And say this for Mets fans. I mean, the atmosphere that they create here at Shea Stadium, I think, is second to none in baseball.
Oh, they're awesome. I mean, they're great fans. They're New York fans, and I think we had a good mix. I heard some Yankee fans. I heard some claps, and we didn't hear that at Yankee Stadium, which was good. We didn't hear any Met fans, which was good. But it was a good mix, and they know they have every right to love the Mets. They've done a great job this year.
When you programmed this thing into your mind as you came in to start the 6th inning, did you get the feeling that you might be able to take it up to Rivera even if Mariano was going to start the 8th?
Well, that's your objective, is to throw strikes and get as many guys out you can, and give as many innings as you can, because when you're coming into the 6th and you know that then it's going to be Stanton and Rivera, you want to give Joe as much as you can, and especially with National League ball, when the pitcher comes up, then when I came out in that 2nd inning, that I had the 3 guys before they started bringing in lefties. So I wanted to really get through that inning so we could get to Mike and Rivera wouldn't have to pitch 2 innings.
So what's up with the clubhouse? Is it under like 3 feet of water or something?
Well, I was in there when it happened. I was in the training room, and all of a sudden where the massage area and the weight area and the hot tub area was like Niagara Falls. It was all of a sudden the ceiling collapsed. Water was everywhere. It was like green gunky water, and luckily it doesn't smell in there. But those guys, the policemen, the fire department, the people in the around the stadium, they got that stuff cleaned up pretty good.
Wow. All right, Jeff, thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Right, Jeff Nelson, a big part of helping the Yankees build up to a 3-1 lead. And it'll be very interesting, Howie, to see what Michael Kay and Joe Torre are about to talk about. Because Joe Torre, once again, went to a slugger, tried to win this game with 1 big swing, and Jose Canseco looked at strike 3.
I don't think he took the bat off his shoulders the entire
one
at-bat,
check
did he?
swing. Yeah, I mean, you could hear Yankee fans groaning from here to the Bronx. You know, what else do you think in terms of how the Mets view things now is on their minds?
Well, I think they've got to feel pretty good about the fact that in the next 2 games, if there is a second game to be played after tomorrow, they've got their 2 best pitchers going in Al Leiter and Mike Hampton. You have to be able to stand behind that as reason for hope. And, you know, Al Leiter has always pitched very well against the Yankees. And whether it's at Yankee Stadium or Shea Stadium where he'll pitch tomorrow, I think you go in pretty well comfortable that he's going to keep you in the game. But you just hope that you can get either to the starting pitcher, Andy Pettitte, or to the Yankee bullpen, which has certainly matched, if not outpitched, the Mets bullpen over these first 4 games.
Meanwhile, the tenor of these games, the drama of this Subway Series has been memorable already. Let's go inside and hear what Joe Torre is saying to Michael Kay about his Yankees being up 3-1.
Sweet. Joe, what a game. Are you all right?
I am now. You know, we scored bang, bang, bang. I said, good. You know, maybe we'll break through, get a couple or 3, and you know, there's always that minefield out there with Piazza and Zeal and then Alfonso and Agbayani. What a job our bullpen and Denny Nagel. I mean, it was. I mean, this was vintage pitching from our ball club.
Well, I mean, you showed a lot of whatever you want to call him. I mean, you had Denny Nagel 2 outs in the 5th inning, 1 out away from the win, and you bring in David Cone. I mean, what's behind your thinking there?
Well, Mike Piazza. Mike Piazza, you know, he hit 2 balls hard off Nagel, the home run and then a foul home run. And
had you told Nagel you were going to get him?
No, I can't do that. You know, did you see the look on his face when I went out? Mm-hmm. No, he didn't know. And but Coney knew in the bottom, I mean, the top half of the inning when we were hitting that he was going to pitch to Piazza.
All right, so you bring in Nelson, then you bring in Stanton. Stanton looked unbelievably tough, and you decide to go with Rivera for 6 outs, although Stanton does get out righties. Is it just you felt the game was going to be won in the 8th inning?
Well, that's where we go through the middle of their order, and you know, I've done that before where if we're in the middle of the order, to me that's a save opportunity, and Mo, I mean, he was spectacular. Again, Zeal was that thorn in his side.
How humongous is this to go up 3-1? 34 out of 40 teams have won the World Series after being up 3-1. Is that why you managed it this way?
Well, no, you know, you lose yesterday. You can't lose today because all of a sudden momentum shifts, and then, you know, this ball club has been good about bouncing back. They're a very tough club over there, and you know, Bobby Jones gave up 3 runs first. You know, the first one on the first pitch of the game, and he just hunkered down and did a hell of a job. But we needed, once you get in the position to win this game, you know, and Mo is my man in the 8th and 9th, and it was an important game for us and for them, and now, you know, we're in a good situation, even though we know we have a lot of work to do yet.
Are you surprised that with your 3-4 guys going 0 for 9 together that you could still squeak out a win?
Yeah, but again, when you have the bullpen work that we had tonight, you know, 1 run has to be enough, and that's what it amounted to.
All right, final thing, this is off the beaten path. How much of a gamble was it to let Mariano Rivera swing away?
Well, no, that we tell our guys, you can't let people come down your throat. I mean, he was bunting, but when Robin come charging in at him, you know, he was not going to just bunt it into his hands for a double play.
Congratulations, thanks.
Thanks, Michael.
There's Denny Nagel. Pitched 4 2/3. He is absolutely swarmed. Now imagine if it was in the tiny Yankee clubhouse and you get a sense of what it's like to try and cover the World Series. Anyway, Mariano Rivera is a fabulous athlete, and he was able to get the bat on the ball that Michael Kay was just talking about in that wild scene where he had a hit in the top of the 9th inning. And as if he already doesn't have it, Mariano Rivera is just increasing the level of his legendary status. One of his victims was the last man of the game. Looking at strike 3 was pinch hitter Matt Franco, who spoke to Matt Lachlan just a few moments ago here at Shea Stadium.
Matty, what has been the difference between these 2 teams? I mean, there's not a lot of runs separating the 2, but you're down by 2.
Yeah, there's not a lot of difference. You know, they beat us 3 games by 1 run. You know, it's just a big hit here and there, and you know, every game's been great. It's just we came up a little short out of 3. We won 1, and we're gonna have to come back battling.
I hate to ask you tonight because I know you went through it before, but can you take us through that at bat in the night there?
Yeah, you know, he lives with that hard cut fastball. You know, he jams lefties time after time after time. You see it every night on TV, and I just told myself I was not going to get beat by that pitch, and you know, he just did a great job. He threw, you know, 93-mile-an-hour fastball on the outer part of the plate. I was not prepared for that pitch. Like I said, I wasn't going to get beat by that hard cutter, and you know, he threw me one pretty good pitch to hit, and I pulled it foul where I was, you know, I was looking for that ball in, and he only threw 1.
What is it like when you're thinking I'm not going to get beat inside, and then he paints the corner?
You know, when a guy's throwing 93, 94, it happens real fast. You just, you know, when you're looking inside and he throws it that hard out there, you just freeze, and you know, you can't do anything about it.
And now Michael Kay joins us on the field, and I love National League Baseball. I mean, you can't stop talking about virtually every move that's made every step of the way.
It is amazing, and Joe Torre excels in this because there was a game in Atlanta in '96 where he saved Wade Boggs, and he kind of like deked Bobby Cox into walking Bernie Williams, and then Wade Boggs came up and drew the walk. Joe Torre plays these National League games very well, and he made all the right moves. He really did, but you have to give credit to the players because the manager could push the buttons, the players have to execute, and Mariano Rivera finished it off with an amazing 2 innings.
And you know, it really didn't feel like it at the time. The Yankees scored 1 run in each of the first 3 innings. The Mets countered with the Mike Piazza 2-run home run. It certainly didn't feel at the time like the final score was going to be 3-2. And now you look back painfully, if you're the Mets, on Bobby Valentine not bringing the infield in when the Yankees added that 3rd run.
Yeah, but you don't think that.
That's what I'm saying, though. You know,
with Nagel pitching, you really think that you're going to score some runs. But you know, the way he massaged the bullpen, he got it done. He really did, because I guess he figured they're thinking they're going to score some more runs. But he brought in the heat. Although bringing in David Cone was a shocker.
It really was, and he got the job done, getting. Let's see, you got Mike Piazza to fly out to second base.
Biggest out of the game, probably.
Yeah, let's go across the field.
Well, you know, I think a lot of times talking about that Soho at bat in the 3rd inning, you will see a manager leave his infield back with nobody out, wanting to cut off the threat of a big inning in case a ball could get through for a base hit and then create something bigger, and then bring it in potentially with 1 out. I don't know if Bobby would have done that there, but I think in that case I definitely agree with Mike and Al that you got to figure against Denny Nagel you're going to score some runs as the game progresses.
Yeah, historically managers tend to really start managing seriously after the 6th inning. Late in the ball game, they're a different type manager. Earlier in the ball game, they take chances, so that might have ran through his mind.
And of course it would end up allowing the Yankees to score what proved to be the winning run, as Bobby Jones allowed runs each of the first 3 innings. Jones giving up a home run to Derek Jeter on the first pitch he threw in the ball game. But as we've seen so often from Bobby Jones this year, even through the times when he struggled, and it seems that more often than not when he's gotten into trouble, it's been early in the game, and then he's been able to settle down and give the Mets 5 or 6 innings, and at least he was able to do that for them tonight.
You know, I think you mentioned something there, Howie, that I think was very important, and it set the tone. Derek Jeter stepping to the plate and hammering the ball over the wall. First pitch of the ball game, and I know Keith Hernandez, I know as a catcher, Keith, when you're behind the plate, it changes the complexion of the ball game. Now you're on the defensive part of this ball game as a first baseman, and you were the leader in the ball club in '86. What would run through your mind when a guy like Jeter hits a home run?
The leadoff home run, in the first inning, Fran, it's only 1 run in the first inning. We got 9 innings to play. We haven't even hit yet. So, you know, sure, it's a great lift for the Yankees, but you know, when you come in after the inning, it's 1-0. Hey, we got a whole ball game to play. And it's not a problem. And you know, as far as we're talking earlier, you guys were talking earlier about the infield coming in. I think it was too early to bring the infield in. If you wanted to do anything, maybe you bring in the corners a little bit, or the shortstop in second a little bit. But at that point, even though it's 2-0, it's in the 3rd inning. You don't want to have a big inning, and they got their big guns coming up. There's nobody out, and I just think that Bobby made the right move there, and it turned out to be the game-winning run. But you know, you can't project into the future when you're making decisions in the 3rd inning.
And absolutely, and that's why you have to have confidence in your players. And again, we talked early in the ball game, and managers will manage differently early in the ball game. If they had retrospect at their fingertips, then he makes a different move. But I agree with Keith as far as early in the ball game, you have to have a lot of confidence in your players. That's why they're there. That's why they're out there, and it's the World Series.
Yeah, in this World Series, the Yankees have a 3-1 lead. One of the reasons why Tino Martinez is standing by across the field with Al Trautwig and Michael Kay.
All right, Tino, 2 more hits, but I'm sure that Yankee fans are sitting at home and saying, you know, like a 2-run lead, maybe a 3-run lead. Could you do it a little easier for us, please?
That would sure be nice, but their bullpen came in again today and did a great job and kept getting outs. They needed them. We couldn't get a hit to get a run in to give us some comfort, but you know, we kept battling. Our bullpen was just outstanding.
Now, when they bring in David Cone, I mean, David Cone hasn't pitched since like 1984. I mean, are you guys kind of shocked that David Cone's marching in a big game?
At first, I didn't know who was coming in. We looked out to the bullpen and saw him coming in. We all kind of grinned, and Joe was like, you know, like he knew what he was doing. So when Coney got to the mound, he was like, all right, what are we going to do with him? Like if he was, you know, just ready to go, and it was awesome, and he pitched great to Piazza. How great is this bullpen? How much is this bullpen meant to these championship teams? They've been everything. I think if you take any of those 3 guys out of our bullpen, we may not win all 3 championships or whatever. So they've been everything. You know, we get a lead late in the game, and especially in the postseason, it's hard for them to come back.
And you know, Tino, it's only fair the Met bullpen was equally as good.
Yeah, they were. They were outstanding. Like I said, we were just able to scratch across 3 runs and then just hold on for our lives. And fortunately, Nagel just gave up that 2-run homer to Piazza, and our bullpen from there on out just shut him down, which was a tremendous performance.
All right, thanks a lot, Tino.
Thanks, you guys.
Tino.
Okay.
Tino Martinez, good enough to join us live here in our post-game coverage of Game 4. The look from above, the Bud One airship. Shea Stadium is now nearly empty, but everyone will be back at it tomorrow night. Lots more to come from here in Flushing. Let's go back to the studio.
Thanks very much, Al. One other point, Keith, on the bringing in the infield or not bringing him in the 3rd inning that I disagree with you to an extent is Joe Torre managed this game like it was the 7th game for his team. Yankees are up 2-1. They wanted this game desperately. They know at 3-1 it's going to be very difficult. 85% of the time that has happened, that team has gone on to win it. I thought, you know, and I'm not going to second-guess Bobby Valentine. I know 20/20 hindsight's always sharper, but you need to manage this game like it's the 7th game of the World Series for the Mets because you're down 2-1. If you go down 3-1, if you go down 3-0 in a game like this, the hole is just that much more deep.
But, Mike, Joe Torre managed this game like the 7th game of the World Series from the 5th inning on. This was the 3rd inning.
Okay. Point well made. Let's look at the highlights. We're going to have them in just a second. One other point to keep. Really, the Yankees kept the Mets in this game because they had runners in scoring position. Yes. The Yankees 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th inning, and then again in the 9th inning, and did not add anything to their lead. So the Mets can be thankful in that sense that they were still within 1 run of this Yankee team after all those opportunities going by the board.
Well, this all translates to what we said earlier at the top of the show, is that this was going to be a pitcher's series. The men being left on base is a credit to the pitching of both these pitching staffs.
All right, so the Mets and Yankees will play Game 5 tomorrow. It will be Andy Pettitte against Al Leiter. Pettitte's got a couple wins in the postseason. I know you like him, and Mets fans certainly like their chances with Al Leiter. What kind of pressure is he going to be under tomorrow? Obviously, it's a sudden death game now for the Mets. The Yankees have 3 chances to win 1.
Well, their backs are to it. They've both been there. We're looking at Pettitte's been there before. Leiter's been there before. I mean, the Mets, from their point of view, they've got to win 3 in a row. They've got to take it 1 game at a time, but they've got to feel good about their 2 lefties out there again. Hampton coming back, and then Leiter tomorrow, obviously. They got to feel good about that. And they can't worry about Game 7. Let's just win the next game. If they win the next game, then let's win the 6th game, and then we'll get to the 7th game if we get there.
Yeah, all bets are off in Game 7, certainly. I agree, though. The 2 left-handers in a row for the Mets, I mean, if you're looking for positives for them, yeah, that is certainly a positive. All right, Mariano Rivera is now standing by at Shea Stadium with Al Trautwig and Michael Kay. Once again, he does it for the Yankees. 6 outs for him, 16 straight postseason saves. Al?
And he was stylish on the mound, and he has a stylish vision in brown here tonight outside the Yankee dugout. Mariano, I guess the start of Paul O'Neill making that catch was a good way to get started, right?
It was a great way to get started. I mean, he's a fighter. I mean, O'Neill, when he got there, I mean, he's a money player, and I pick O'Neill anytime. And I was glad he's made that play.
All right, let's talk about your 9th inning there. It got a little bit scary, but you pretty much got it done. We're going to take a look at it right now. If you look at the monitor, and Agbayani started it off.
Well, I'll tell you what, I went inside with that pitch, you know.
He laughs.
That was a good pitch.
Yeah, it was.
It was a great pitch. I mean, Peyton, I wasn't trying to walk in. I was trying, when I hit it.
Now, when Franco comes up, do you think about the game-winning hit he got against you the other year?
I wasn't thinking at all. You know, I mean, he hit it very good the other day. You know, I was glad that he wasn't, you know, because I want to face him too.
Now, you told me the other day when you gave up the runs in the 9th inning of Game 2, you said, what's the big deal? We won. Did that affect you at all? Were you thinking about that at all when you came on the mound tonight?
Not at all. We won, like I said. We won, and that's what all matters. You know, we win Game 2, and today I was focused on what I have today, what I have to do today, and I was glad that I did it.
Has it gotten to the point where you're totally psyched about trying to get 6 outs? You know, we're so used to getting 3, but in the postseason it's been 6 and 5, you know.
I tell you what, I don't know what's going on. I like it, but, you know, it's kind of interesting. You know, I never been done that before, you know. But in the playoff, I mean, World Series especially, you know, I was happy to do it. You know,
last thing about the at-bat.
What were you trying to do?
You had to
I want to know the deal. Were you supposed to bunt? Did you do that yourself?
I was supposed to bunt. Well, I mean, guy throwing 96, 97, bro. If I tried to bunt and hit me, I don't want it to hit me. You know, so I just tried to I did that on my own, though.
So that was Mariano trying to protect Mariano.
Now, I have one quick question before we bring in Mike Stanton over here. Are you teaching Coney how to be a reliever?
He did a great. I mean, that was outstanding. That was outstanding seeing Coney do that, you know, and he wants to be there. That's the beauty.
Well, Mariano, thank you. And now we're going to bring in your bullpen mate, Mike Stanton.
There you go. Thanks,
Mariano.
All right, guys.
There he is. How badly did you want to continue pitching? Because Jeff Nelson said you guys are trying to give Joe as many options without having to go to Rivera for 2 innings.
Well, you know, you never want to come out of a game, but obviously you can't argue the success of Mariano Rivera, you know, especially in the postseason. So, you know, obviously I didn't want to come out of the game, especially going to the clubhouse, how big a mess it was in there. But, you know, like I said, it's, you know, Mo came in and did his usual great job.
Now we're going to take a look at the 7th inning. When you came in, there's a runner on first base and 1 out. And why don't you take a look at the monitor and you take it from here.
Right there, you know, I know Trammell's looking for a fastball, and I wanted to make sure I just got it up. And same thing with Abbott. You know, he's a good fastball hitter, and you know, I got him with the fastball last night, and tonight I just decided to try and change speeds on it.
Now, do you want to pitch the next inning and have to face Alfonso and Piazza, or do you gladly turn it over to Rivera for those 2 guys?
No, you know, those situations are kind of what you strive for, you know, regardless of left-handed or right-handed. You know, I want to stay in the game, and but that's not my call. And Joe knows that I want to stay in the game, but, you know, obviously you can't argue with success of Mariano Rivera.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you.
Lots more to come from here at Shea Stadium. Jay Payton and Bobby Jones we'll hear from in a matter of moments, but right now we go back to Mike Crispino and Keith Hernandez. The Bud One Air.
All right, thanks very much, Alan. The Yankees win tonight by a final of 3-2, and they did it with Dave Justice going 0 for 5. Bernie Williams, who is 1 for 14 in the last 14 times he's been up with men in scoring position, and 0 for 18 in the World Series for Bernie Williams. I mean, the middle of the Yankee order really has not done a lot of damage in this series.
Well, you can also look, if you notice today, I mean, body language is just so important. And you can see Bernie up there getting pitches that he had to, good pitches to hit today, some good pitches. He's fouling them back. He's a little late. You can see him talking to himself, shaking his head. He hit 1 ball good, and that's in the top of the 5th inning. He hit a line drive with a runner with Soho on second base with 2 outs, and he hit it right at Bordick at shortstop. It was a bullet, and that could have been the one to get him out of the slump. And the Mets were very fortunate that it was right at somebody. It was a bullet.
Yeah, Bernie Williams tonight, again, nothing going for him at 0 for 4. The Mets pinch hit a few different times, Keith. We're going to talk about that when we return. We'll have more of our post-game report from the Subway Series. Game 4 at Shea Stadium tonight, won by the Yankees 3-2. Stay with us. More from Shea and here in Manhattan. Derek Jeter kicked it off with a home run on pitch number 1 from Bobby Jones. The Yankees led from there on.
You're watching the Jeep Postgame Report, brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep dealer. Jeep, the most award-winning brand of 4x4s on Earth. And by New York Marriott World Trade Center, connected to the world.
I'm in heaven. Heaven! I'm in heaven.
Owning a Jeep Cherokee means more than just freedom. It means you're part of something bigger. Now, select lessees with exceptional credit can get a 4-wheel drive $279 a month lease, and these features at no extra charge.
Where can you get a great meal and be in the middle of all the sports action? where you can eat and drink and be part of a great sport. At the new OTB restaurants and teletheaters, where you can enjoy the thrill of live horse racing, where you can eat 3 courses and bet 6 tracks, where you can put your mouth where your money is. To find the New York City OTB restaurant or teletheater near you, call 800-OTB-8118.
Check, please.
First of all, I'm not denying that I used cellular. It was a very experimental time. Someone passed it to me, I put it to my ear, but I did not talk, I only listened. Even then, all I heard was static. But I have been free and clear ever since. I even chose long distance so I could reach out to young people across the nation and warn them of even casual cellular use.
The new Sprint PCS Free and Clear plan, $29.99 for 500 minutes, all with nationwide long distance.
The Jeep post-game report of the Subway Series Game 4. Mike Crispino and Keith Hernandez. These games, Keith, all close, most one-run games. The Mets did one by 2 last night, but defense so important. Obviously, pitching we've been talking about for the last half hour, but defensively we saw some great plays, and we saw a couple of minor misplays that turned into really the game-winning runs happening in the opening 3 innings.
Absolutely. I just think that Timo Perez who's made an error of offensive error, an aggressive error. You'd rather see someone make an error aggressively than being timid, and that was the O'Neill triple right here, as you're seeing. And he tried to cut it off, couldn't get it. If he played this ball off the wall with O'Neill's speed, and you as a defensive player, you've got to know, if it's Jeter up, okay, someone that's fast, or Willie Davis. But it's Paul O'Neill, who's not a speed burner. You take it off the wall and hold him to a double, and Paul O'Neill wouldn't have scored in that inning.
Is part of that Perez's inexperience at Shea? I mean, how many games has he played at Shea, really?
I just think it's part of his inexperience, period. All right, this was a great play.
Alfonso was terrific tonight defensively, ranging a long way, and then good coverage by Jones.
Bounces over the head here. Zeal's got to try to make the play. And this is heads up on Jones's part. Every pitcher knows he's got to cover first base when the ball hitting the right side. Just a brilliant play all the way around. Good baseball.
Yanks had a lot of opportunities. Here are the Mets now with Agbayani at the plate and Denny Nagel hitting. How about first baseman making this play?
Let me tell you something. As a first baseman, this is not an easy play, and Tino made a great running catch. You're almost like a wide receiver catching a long bomb there. That's the way you got to approach that kind of play.
There's one time it's better to be a right-handed first baseman for Tino, and here is Justice, and this is another nice play by Alfonso.
Well, Alfonso's done that all year, and it was just a well-played game today, and you love to see it.
What range, and then the ability to make this throw. That's not easy.
He came off his knees to make the play.
And now to the 8th inning we go with the Mets at the plate, and O'Neill in right field gets a good jump.
And this is a big play because this could be a leadoff single here. And if he comes in and the ball gets by him, it could be a leadoff triple. So there's a veteran player right there making an aggressive play. He knew he could make it.
You know what, I think when all is said and done, and of course we don't know how this series is going to turn out, but the experience of the Yankees, you can't discount that. We've seen Timo Perez, Game 1, and then Timo Perez again tonight. Now, we're not trying to single him out, but you haven't seen the Yankees make those kinds of mistakes in this series thus far in the opening 4 games.
Well, they've been here before, and they're more of a veteran ball club than the Mets, and it showed today. They were clearly in the series in general, I think. But that's why the Yankees are on the verge of winning, what, their 4th in a row?
if you're counting, 4th in 5 years. We'll talk more in just a moment from here in New York. Let's go back out to Shea Stadium. Howie Rose standing by with Fran Healy. Howie?
All right, Mike. Tonight's starting pitcher for the Mets, Bobby Jones, one of the longest tenured Mets on the ball club, a free agent at the end of the season. He'd like to stay here, but you have to consider he spent his entire life waiting to make his first World Series start after one pitch, which was launched by Derek Jeter for a home run. He was behind, but I think you have to give him some credit for settling in. He ended up getting through 5 innings. Fran gave up the 3 runs, and the Mets were in the game when he left.
Well, you really do have to give him credit for settling in because, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, first pitch of the ball game and Jeter hits the ball out. It's got to put you for a moment on your heels wondering, well, what's next? And we got to stay close enough where we can catch the Yankees. Well, the Mets did stay close enough, but you got to tip your cap to the Yankees. They got some good pitching, but Bobby Jones kept the Mets in the ball game. It's a 1-run ball game. Nothing you can do. Bobby Jones went a little bit over 5 innings, and all you can say about him is he come close. And I'm telling you, getting back to that Jeter home run, I'll guarantee you Met fans said when that ball was hit out of the ballpark, What's next?
Well, there was no question it was out of the ballpark either, but again, to Jones' credit, he was able to get the next 3 hitters in the first inning and settle down and give them 5 decent innings. He spoke about it just moments ago with Matt Loughlin.
It's a loss, and I'm disappointed about that, of course, but you know, there's nothing. Once I'm down 3-0, I can't do nothing about that. I mean, I have to go out there and keep it at that, and you know, give our team a chance to win.
Just quickly, when that first pitch was thrown and Jeter hit it out of the park, what are you thinking?
I don't know, probably it's 1-0, and now I got to get this next guy, and that's all I can think. You know, I can't worry about that. You know, I can't say timeout and mulligan. I mean, it's over and done with. It's first inning. It's 1-0. I got to get the next guy.
Did you say a moment ago you were surprised they swung at that first pitch?
You know, I don't know if I was so much surprised, but you know, I really don't know. I'm just trying to make a good pitch, and regardless if he swings or not, the pitch wasn't where I wanted it to be.
What were you trying to do?
It was supposed to be away. It was probably middle in.
Well, when the Mets made their first ever postseason appearance in 1969 against the Atlanta Braves in the LCS here at Shea Stadium, Gil Hodges removed Gary Gentry as the starting pitcher from a game because of a long foul ball that was hit, I believe, by Rico Carty. And a long foul ball tonight had everything to do with Joe Torre's eventually taking Denny Nagel out of the ball game, because as far as Torre was concerned, Fran, Mike Piazza hit 2 home runs tonight. Unfortunately for the Mets, though, one of them was foul.
And Mike Piazza clobbered the ball that went foul. I mean, that baby was hit almost as high as the foul pole down the left field line, and it was impressive. It brought everybody to their feet here at Shea Stadium. Just going foul. One of the problems the Mets have in this series, they almost expect 2 home runs from Mike Piazza. Now, that's the home run he hit, and he hit a very good pitch over that left field wall. But again, talking about Mike Piazza, you can't expect him to hit 2 home runs in a ball game every time out. So somebody else has to pick up the slack, which leads us to Edgardo Alfonzo, who has had another solid year, outstanding year with the Mets swinging the bat. Fonzie struggling in the series so far. The Yankees have been able to shut him down. Only 2 hits in the series. The Mets need Fonzie to be productive with the bat. We talked about his defense. He's been brilliant defensively, made some nice plays again in tonight's ball game. But Fonzie and Piazza, it's unfortunate. They're in the middle of the lineup. They have to deliver.
Well, Alfonso just 2 for 16 in the series. On the other side, Bernie Williams 0 for 15 in the series. 2 important players struggling. Another important player for the New York Mets is Jay Payton, one of those 3 hitters to face Mariano Rivera in the 9th inning tonight with 1 out, a tough at-bat, a fly ball, and the 2nd out.
And keep in mind, Payton hit a home run at Yankee Stadium the other day, and I'm sure it ran through his mind in that at-bat, but he got beat with the fastball. Can't get him every time, but I'm sure in the back of Payton's mind, going to the plate, thought about that home run he hit the right field at Yankee Stadium.
Still a difficult at-bat against maybe the elite short reliever in all of baseball, Mariano Rivera. How did Payton feel that at-bat went? Matt Loughlin asked him just a moment ago.
You know, I battled. You know, I felt like I said, I felt great at the plate. You know, I got a pitch to hit, and that's the case where if it's not 2 strikes on you, maybe you get a little more into the swing. But you know, I knew I had 2 strikes, and I wanted to put the ball in play. I didn't want to try to strike out either. So that was this case where I just didn't catch it quite the way I wanted to.
The thought of beating the Yankees 3 in a row is a daunting task.
It's a daunting task, but it's possible. They've lost 3 in a row before this year. Lost like 8 in a row, I believe, or something like that. So anything's possible. If we, you know, that's why I say these 2 teams are evenly matched, and I think you see that out there every night. And you know, it's just a matter who goes out and plays better that night. But there's no reason why we can't come back from this.
What's been the difference so far, Jay, in this series?
1 run, basically. I mean, 1 run here. I mean, we won by 2. They won by 1. They won by 1. They won by 1. So you know, it's basically a base hit here or a pitch made there that's been the difference.
So Jay Payton, one of 3 Met batters put down by Mariano Rivera in the 9th inning as the Yankees take a 3-1 lead in this World Series, winning Game 4, 3-2 tonight here at Shea Stadium. We'll have more from Shea in just a little bit. Right now, though, back to the studios to Mike Crispino and Keith Hernandez.
All right, Howie, thanks very much. Fran as well. And you know what, Keith, 15 runs scored by the Yankees, 15 scored by the Mets. You want to look at the highlights again?
Absolutely.
All right, 3-1 the series lead for the New York Yankees after they win tonight, 3-2. So let's get on the train, head over to Shea Stadium, and we'll see Tom Seaver to begin as the Mets and Yankees matched up for the 4th time in the Subway Series. Tom Terrific and members of the 69 New York Mets firing baseballs towards home plate to kick it off, the ceremonial first pitch. Keith Hernandez will be doing that tomorrow night. Derek Jeter, before everyone got in their seats, and you've got to get there on time because that can happen. Jeter's first pitch home run. First time since 1989. Ricky Henderson did it. That has happened in a World Series game. Bottom of the first inning, Piazza on with Nagel pitching. And do you think that was gone?
I thought he pulled it. It was a changeup and left out over the plate, and he just pulled it foul, upper deck.
78-mile-per-hour changeup as Piazza then waves at a fastball. Kind of surprised him on a 1-2 pitch.
He threw it by him there.
So Piazza goes down in inning number 4, or inning number 1, I should say. Now we go to the second. Here's O'Neill off. It looked like a curveball.
It was a curve, down and in. And really the misplay by Perez, instead of playing it off the wall, holding him to a double.
You heard O'Neill telling Al Trawick and Michael Kay, there's a lot of room for triples in Shea Stadium, and the Yankees have had a couple. In fact, O'Neill's had a couple in this series alone, and that later led to a Brocious fly ball. And here's Jeter in the third inning, Keith, another triple.
Off the wall there, he just got hot, starting another inning. Look how he runs the bases. Look how he cuts those turns so short. He does so many things so well.
And Alex Rodriguez, could he be Shea-Rod next year? Could happen. Third inning, Nagel pitching to Piazza. Wow. I mean, that pitch wasn't even in the strike zone.
No, it was a nasty pitch, like it was a changeup or a sinker down and away. And Mike went out there and hit a very, very tough pitch. That's how strong he is.
Bottom of the sixth inning, it's 3-2 Yankees. The runners at first base, and Agbayani. Line drive, but it wouldn't hit that hard.
I thought he hit it off the end of the bat. I thought Nelson came in and pitched very, very, very tough to all the hitters. And it was towards the end of the bat. I wouldn't be surprised if Benny broke his bat in that one.
1 1/3 by Nelson tonight. And now here's Rivera going to work. Bubba Trammell with a fly ball to right field. And O'Neill makes a nice play.
We talked about this earlier.
Risky play, though, Keith.
But I think, you know, he knew he was going to make the play. If he thought there was any chance of the leadoff that was going to get by him, he would take the one hop and hold it to a single.
And here's Rivera, you know, outside corner, painted at 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And getting 6 outs seems like, I don't want to say it's easy, but this man has got not only great velocity, but he certainly has the stamina to get 6 outs, and Torrey went to him.
Well, this, like you said, Joe was going to go 2 innings with him. I thought it was the right move. Nelson and Cone, Nelson and Stanton got him to the 8th. This was this was a pivotal game here. Go for the juggler. Mariano, go out there and give me 2. You've got all winter to rest.
That's
Shut
right.
the door.
Edgardo Alfonso, as Fran Hilly and Howie Rose were talking about, 0 for 3 tonight. And Fonzie's had his troubles, 2 for 16 in this series, Keith. I thought El Duque put him in a little bit of a mini slump last night with all that breaking stuff outside the strike zone.
Well, El Duque is just tough on right-handers, period. And he's like a Louis Tiant type pitcher. And Alfonso, it's been one of the keys of the series. Alfonso is obviously one of the best players in the National League and a great player, I feel, and he's just been shut down this series. So you got to credit the Yankee pitching.
Joe Torre moved Jeter to the leadoff spot tonight, Keith. Would Bobby Valentine even think of moving Alfonso somewhere else in the lineup tomorrow?
No, you stick with it, I think. And he's limited at what he can do. He's got a left-hand pitcher tomorrow going against him in Pettit. Perez hasn't been doing it, but I don't think he's got anybody else to lead off.
How about Darryl Hamilton? Do you take a chance? He's a left-hand hitter, but he's a veteran guy.
No, I think it's a possibility. It'd be interesting to see what Bobby does. I would like to see Timo leading off, maybe trying to drag bunt off a left-hander and try to push it. You got a left-hander out there, push it down the first base line and try to make something happen. He's a good bunter. We'll see what happens.
One thing we saw tonight as well, Keith, the free-swinging Mets were well scouted by Yankee pitchers, and the Yankee pitchers have been hitting their spots.
Well, sometimes you look good. You hit them where they are.
They did it tonight to the Yankee pitching staff. We shall return with more of our post-game Subway Series report here from MSG Network in New York, and of course at Shea Stadium. Piazza, wow, outside the strike zone and low, just blasted into the bleachers and left center. That was the Mets offense tonight.
You're watching the Jeep Postgame Report, brought to you by New York Marriott Eastside, at the center of it all, and by Sprint PCS, the clear alternative to cellular.
Where do you go to find the largest selection of CDs and LPs?
Visit the Princeton Record Exchange. You'll find over 50,000 CDs, 100,000 LPs, plus over 20,000 CDs for $4.99 or less.
Who will buy your CDs, LPs, and DVDs?
Visit the Princeton Record Exchange. They'll pay you cash or store credit for your collection.
How do you find those lesser-known and hard-to-find artists, plus the latest new releases?
Visit the Princeton Record Exchange today on 20 South Tulane Street in nearby downtown Princeton.
Hey, nice boots.
Thanks. I got them at Exotic Boots.
If you like what you see, Exotic Boots will get you the looks you're looking for. Leatherwear from Harley-Davidson, coats and hats, jewelry, and of course, boots. The possibilities are endless. Get the looks you're looking for at Exotic Boots on Route 22 East in Greenbrook, your Western wear headquarters for New Jersey.
This is incredible stuff. You should see what we've seen.
We have seen some incredible stuff.
Like the Coast Guard battling hurricanes, or how NASA's #1 enemy is the weather.
Well, I'd love to see that. He can, right, Mish?
Right, Jim?
Atmospheres, Wednesdays at 8 on the Weather Channel.
I'm a trial lawyer. I love the competition, the courtroom, winning, helping those who can't go it alone. My clients are genuine people. They're real. They hurt. You gotta listen to them. I mean, really listen. Only then can you convey to the jury their loss. You have to play it straight with your client. You have to tell them the truth. Levinson Axelrod is a large personal injury law firm with over 20 lawyers, over 70 in staff. Call us at 1-800-34-NJ-LAW.
96. Back up to Shea Stadium, Howie Rose and Fran Healy. Howie?
All right, Mike, and I think when people handicapped this World Series before it started, a lot of them centered around the pitching and thought the Mets might have had an edge there. Certainly in terms of the staff from 1 to 10, but specifically in the bullpen. Certainly you give credit to Nelson and Rivera, but all I heard and read was how the Yankees were in trouble apart from those two. I'll tell you what, Fran, that Yankee bullpen, other than simply Nelson and Rivera, has been brilliant during this series and again tonight.
They really have, and what they've done is when they enter the ball game, they throw strikes. They have good stuff, and that's very important, and they throw it over the plate, aggressively going after the Mets, and so far they have the upper hand.
Really, the Yankees staff from 1 to 10, those who have appeared anyway in these first 4 games, have been outstanding. Denny Nagel got them to the 5th inning, even though he was 1 out away from qualifying for a win. What does Mike Piazza think of that Yankee staff so far?
They just come in, throw strikes, and they're aggressive, and it's the same thing with their bullpen. I mean, they have a lot of talent down there. You know, it's when you got like Dwight Gooden and you know, David Cohn, yeah, guys that, as I said, have experience. You have Stanton, you have guys that Nelson. I mean, he's as tough as anybody. I mean, for a right-hand hitter, for me personally, I mean, he's really tough. So, but you know what? That's not an excuse for us. We're battling. That's all you can do. Like I said, it's frustrating for us.
How do you like your chances to win 3 straight at this point? That's what you get.
Well, we just want to win tomorrow. That's the bottom line. We'll take it from there. I don't think we could look about winning 3 straight. Look at, you know, that much forward. We come out and win tomorrow. Who knows? I mean, it could swing the momentum a little bit.
So what do the Mets bank on now if they look to extend this series and perhaps take it the limit? And I think one thing they have to feel pretty good about, Fran, is the fact that if they can get at least the next 2 games in, it'll be with their best pitchers, Al Leiter tomorrow and Mike Hampton in Game 6.
And we've seen Al Leiter, when he has his good stuff, he can become unhittable. So they need an unhittable Al Leiter tomorrow night. And we talked about Fonzie and Piazza. Of course, you cannot expect Piazza to hit 2 home runs every time out. They need Fonzie to deliver. And if Fonzie is struggling, then the rest of the ball club has to pick him up. But Leiter's the key. He's got to go out and pitch another brilliant ball game.
And of course, from the Yankee standpoint, they've got not only Andy Pettitte going tomorrow, but they've got all that World Series experience of the last few years that they can lean on. They know how to play a potential clinching game. In fact, just being extended to 5 is news for these Yankees over the last couple of years. So from the Mets side of the field, for Fran Healy, I'm Howie Rose. Let's send you back across the diamond now to Al Trotwig and Michael Kay.
All right, Howie, and now in our wrap-up, we want to begin by talking about why is it that the Yankees find themselves up 3-1 in this series. Sure, it's the obvious, the hit here, the run there, the catch here. But really, when you go deeper into what this is all about, you have to give credit to the man who is largely given credit for starting the Yankees in the direction that got them to this point in the first place.
Well, it's Gene Michael, and he's got a great scouting staff. Guys like Wade Taylor and Damon Oppenheimer, they do some job. They really tail all the teams that the Yankees could possibly face in the postseason. Let's take a look at what they've done. Timo Perez, nobody could get him out for the final month of the season. 2 for 17 against the Yankees. Totally harmless. Edgardo Alfonso, one of the best players in baseball, 2 for 16. Mike Piazza has 2 home runs. One of them was a so-what home run in the 9th inning when they were down 6-0. He's 4 for 17. Ventura's 3 for 16. Bordick is 1 for 8. That's pretty important. You've neutralized most of the line. They haven't been able to get out Todd Zeile. They couldn't get him out he was with the Texas Rangers anyway. But Gene Michael and his staff have done really a great job.
All right, so exceptional pitching after great preparation, and now the Yankees look to tomorrow when it's Andy Pettitte against Al Leiter once again. And quite simply, before this game ever gets started, Andy Pettitte knows what the deal is. Al Leiter's going to keep it really, really close, and he's got to match him.
That's right. And Al Leiter, as Fran just said, when he's got rest, he's really unhittable at times. So he knows he pitches big games very well. Andy Pettitte pitches his best ball games, World Series games, on the road. Here's the numbers. If you're a Yankee fan, you've got to revel in this. 40 teams have been up 3-1 in World Series play. 34 of them have gone on to win the World Series. The last team that came back from a 3-1 deficit, the 1985 Royals. But they didn't come back against this New York Yankee team. As you so aptly put, they know how to win these games. I mean, they've been around, and they know how to close this out.
All right, Mike, that'll do it for us from here at Shea Stadium. We'll see you tomorrow in our post-game coverage for Game 5. But here tonight, it started with the very first pitch. And what a glorious shot it was for the Yankees. As Derek Jeter blasted it over the left field wall, they claimed the early lead. Then Denny Nagel settled in, and the Yankees watched as Mike Piazza, with one unbelievable swing, lunged and put one over the wall. Suddenly, it was 3-2. And that is the way it would go every pitch the rest of the way. Joe Torre went into the bullpen and grabbed something out of the Yankees and Mets passed. David Cohn faced Piazza and got him out. At times, Alfonso was dazzling at second base, but at all times, the Yankee bullpen was there, putting up 0 after 0. The Mets bullpen did the same. Glendon Rush was super. And then finally, it came down to Mariano Rivera for 6 huge outs. Paul O'Neill helped out by making a great catch in right field, and Mariano got the job done with 2 ninth-inning strikeouts. His ERA goes a little bit lower. We'll see you tomorrow night, everybody.
All right, thanks to Al Trautwig, Michael Kay, Howie Rose, Fran Healy, and again, Mariano Rivera was just spectacular. Keith, he got 6 outs. The Yankee bullpen was perfect tonight. And if you're the Mets, it looks like this. Now, obviously, you got to win the next 3, but you got to figure you got to win the game essentially in the opening 5 innings if you're the Mets, if the Yankee bullpen continues to pitch like this.
Well, they've gotten to the Yankee bullpen, too. You can't think that far ahead. Tomorrow's the most important game. I know it's old and it's trite, but you take it a game at a time. You've got your ace out there and Al Leiter, and you just got to win the first game or it's sayonara.
Let's examine Mariano Rivera from the hitter's perspective, because you were watching him work against Benny Agbayani in the 9th inning tonight.
Well, he's just overpowering. I mean, he leads them off with a cut fastball away, knee-high outside corner. Another one, same spot. Another one there. Then a fastball in. Now, tell me that isn't good pitching. Just locked them up inside. And if you're a hitter, you got to tip your hat. That was just brilliant sequence of pitches right there. I was just so impressed.
19 2/3 innings pitched, World Series, 16 hits, 3 earned runs, 16 strikeouts, almost 1 an inning, and the record 1-0, 6 saves tonight. Perfect, 2 strikeouts. And one of the, I don't know, more heartwarming moments of the game tonight, if you're a Mets and Yankee fan, is to see David Cohn get an opportunity, maybe his last, in New York to pitch in a World Series game. Joe Torre goes to him in the 5th inning against Mike Piazza, and as Joe told Michael Kay, because he had already seen Denny Nagel give up 2 home runs, one that was fair to Mike Piazza.
Correct, and David's been there before, and it was another great sequence of pitches here. You can't say it was really a pressure situation because there was no one on base. But David comes in, not used to being a relief pitcher, and look at this. Fastball, ball, okay, fine, up and in. Fastball, knee-high outside corner. Slider, nasty knee-high outside corner. Ball off the plate, he fished, and he jams him inside. It's just the same, almost identical to what Rivera did to Agbayani. It's just brilliant, brilliant sequence of pitches.
So up and in, low and away, and they get the Mets. And Keith, I tell you, as Michael was just mentioning, the scouting report of Gene Michael and his crew did a nice job scouting the Mets hitters, but you got to, execute, and the Yankee pitching staff has done that.
I think the Yankee pitching is basically a power pitching staff, and I think they've basically, the Mets are a completely opposite hitting team. They swing a lot of pitches up here. If you've noticed in the whole series, they've thrown them fastballs up out of the strike zone. And I think that the Yankee pitching so far has pretty much overpowered the Met lineup.
And they've been throwing the ball where the Mets just can't get a good shot at it. Bubba Trammell struck out that way, and Jay Payton has had some strikeouts that way as well. All right, let's go back to Shea Stadium. Last couple of minutes, David Cohn met with the media there, and so did Derek Jeter. Here it is on tape.
Derek and David, can you talk about the position you're in right now, which I know is a nice position to be in, up 3-1, one game away. You're familiar with it. What's your mood right now, the confidence level right now?
Well, we're one win away from where we want to be, but, this Met team's not going to give up. In my opinion, they're the best team we've played in the 5 years that I've been here in the postseason. A few of these games could have gone either way, all four actually, and, they're not going to give up. So we still have to come out here ready to play.
Brad? No.
David, Joe just said that he had told you before the fifth inning started that you would definitely come in to face Piazza. What were your thoughts approaching that?
Well, that's not exactly true, but they told me to get ready for Piazza. I wasn't sure that I would definitely face him. And then when Denny got 2 quick outs in the fifth, I wasn't sure at all. So I was probably as surprised as Denny was when Joe made the change with 2 outs in the fifth.
Rachel.
Derek, could you talk a little bit about getting that home run tonight and also in the third inning, sort of what was going through your mind after you saw the ball sailing out there?
Well, I mean, everyone seems to want to ask me if I change my approach when I'm batting leadoff, but Mr. Torrey tells me to have the same approach. I'm aggressive, and I've been known to swing at the first pitch. So when you're playing these types of games, when runs can be kind of hard to come by, you want to score early. So, I got a good pitch to hit, and I hit it well, and fortunately, it carried out.
Chris?
David, jogging in from the bullpen there, and jogging through left field, you seem to be looking around up in the stands. What was going on in your head during that run to the mound?
Well, I don't know if I was looking around. I might have been. I don't know. I knew I was facing probably one of the best hitters I've ever faced in Mike Piazza, so I was just kind of worried about that. But, I was a little interested to see what the reaction would be. I haven't pitched here since '92 when I was traded, and it was a pretty firm boo. So, I know where I stand now.
So David Cohn gets an out, and it's a one-run game, fifth inning. Piazza's already popped one out of the place. That's a big out, I think.
Well, Joe, at that point, like we said, was playing it like the 7th game of the World Series, and it was the 5th inning at that point. He didn't want to take a chance with Nagel. Like we said, he hit a home run foul, and he hit a 2-run home run. Brings in Cohn, and we had the sequence for you. Cohn pitched him brilliant.
So he gets the one out that he needs, and the Yankee bullpen, the story tonight, as well as Derek Jeter, as you heard, leading off, being aggressive, swinging at the first pitch that Bobby Jones threw in a World Series and hitting it for a home run. It gave the Yankees a 1-0 lead. They were never headed in a 3-2 victory. We'll be back in just a moment. Quick timeout, a few final thoughts. Subway Series continues. Game 4, 3-1 lead as the Yankees win at 3-2. Everybody in New York has an opinion, whether they're Mets or Yankees fans. Everybody.
You're watching the Jeep Postgame Report, brought to you by New York Marriott Financial Center, downtown.
World Series winning streak halted after Game 3, so the Yankees figure, okay, we'll start another one, and that is exactly what they have done, and it has been the same recipe for success that we've seen 3 of the last 4 World Series that they've been in. Success comes from good bullpen work, which they certainly got in Game 4. It comes from clutch hitting, which they certainly got in Game 4, from guys like Derek Jeter, from veterans like Paul O'Neill. Tino Martinez has contributed as well. Scott Brocious has contributed as well. The New York Mets now know what the Braves know, what the Padres know. However, when you look at the scores of the first 4 games, there is no reason to think that the Mets, despite being down 3-1, are out.
I don't know if this time of the season you change any approach to hitting. I think we can hit, and we'll hit better. They've made good pitches especially out of the bullpen in a few games that they played.
And God, it was a tough ball game tonight. It really was. We needed every single bit of contribution that we got from every pitcher out there. It, obviously feels good because you know how dominant this ball club is in this ballpark. And, if you told me 3 runs were going to be all we needed after that, Piazza's home run, I wouldn't have believed it.
When I first saw Joe, I didn't even know he was coming out until all of a sudden I turned around to get the ball back, turned and saw Joe coming, and I really did think, okay, he was going to talk about the situation. You got a base, obviously a couple bases open, nobody on. Maybe be careful with Piazza or whatever. And when he was reaching for, the ball, I was obviously shocked. And, because as I said, it comes down to the fact that you're a competitor. I'm a professional athlete. I want to be out there competing and doing my thing.
Yes, I did hear the cheering when I walked off, mainly from the box right by our dugout, which included the mayor. So, yeah, it was nice, though. It was nice to just get one out. Every out's a commodity in the postseason.
It was a tough game for us. And, I just know personally, as I said, we went out there and we busted our ass, and unfortunately we just couldn't get over the hump. So it's it's a tough position to be in. But, we played tough, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow.
Piazza had a home run. It was the only extra base hits for the Mets, who came up with 6 hits in the game against that good Yankee pitching. 7-3 is the way it breaks down in 2000. And look at the runs. The New York Yankees have outscored the Mets by 2 in 10 games. You see the home run numbers there, but again, it's the pitching which has been the difference in the bullpen. But offensively, neither team had gotten much out of their leadoff spot. In fact, 1-2 for the New York Mets. Timo Perez and Edgardo Alfonso each with only 2 hits in this series. On the other side, Joe Torre switched things up a little bit. Derek Jeter, first pitch he saw, out of the building, and we see his effect game in and game out, whether it's a home run, whether it's going from first to home as he did in Game 3, sets the tone not only with his bat, just his presence, doesn't
it seems like, throughout the course of the year, you're going to find a stretch where Derek Jeter is on base 50 games in a row or something outrageous. He is the igniter of this ball club. And really, to appreciate Derek Jeter, you have to watch him on a daily basis. But Joe Torre, like you said, Carl, did make the switch. In Game 3, he had Jose Vizcaino leading off. He was unable to get things started at the top of the order. Chuck Knobloch led off in Game 1 when they were back in New York, in Yankee Stadium, I should say, Games 1 and 2. And he wasn't able to really get it going for him at the leadoff spot, although he did have a pinch hit the other night in a ball game. But Derek Jeter, you said it, started the trend. He came out first pitch. Now, they've been pounding Jeter inside all series, and eventually he makes great adjustments. Right there, first pitch of the game, he jumped on it. And then he comes back. He has an uncanny knack to be able to take a ball inside out and flick it off the wall like he does here, and ends up with the triple. But the main thing you want out of that leadoff spot, you don't necessarily want a home run, you don't want a triple, you don't want a guy necessarily going for the cycle, you want runs scored. Luis Sojo right here hits the ground ball, and here comes Derek Jeter to score the run. When you get your leadoff guy on base, and particularly in scoring position, it ignites the whole rest of your offense, because now you can manufacture, and that's what you have to do in a National League type of game. You have to manufacture runs. That's why the leadoff guy becomes even more important in a National League ballpark than in an American League ballpark.
Leadoff hitters prior to Jeter's effort in Game 4 had been 0 for 13 for the New York Yankees. An impressive performance from Derek Jeter, probably made even more impressive by one of the guys who was sitting in the stands watching. That was, of course, Alex Rodriguez, and Mets fans figure they have Alex Rodriguez in the lineup. This may have been a very different story. Same story we've seen for the last several years as far as the Yankees are concerned, thanks in large part to their shortstop, who's with our Charlie Steiner.
Derek, first pitches out of the box, were you going up thinking you were going to be aggressive right out of the box?
Well, that's my approach every game. I don't really change my approach whether I'm hitting leadoff or second. I've hit leadoff in the past, especially this year when Chuck was injured. So, in my opinion, you're only first in the first inning. So I wanted to be aggressive. We wanted to come out and score some runs early.
Your bullpen, if there's some question going into the series, how it matched up with the Met bullpen, tonight they more than held their own.
They did a tremendous job. Nagel came in, did a great job. He only made one mistake to Mike Piazza, and he crushed it. But Piazza's been doing that to pitchers for years. And then we had Coney come in. He got a huge out. And then we had Nelly and Stanton, and Mo's pretty much automatic.
Another one-run game between you two teams.
This Met team, bro, they're good. They're probably, in my opinion, I think they're the best team we played in the World Series, the best team we played in the postseason the last few years. So they're not going to give up. We still have one more win.
And for you, 14 straight World Series game base hits?
Well, you know, I don't really focus on that. My job is to get on base, you know, for the 3, 4, and 5 guys. So any way you can do it, whether it's drawing a walk or getting a hit.
Now you're just one game away from yet another world title.
We got to come out ready to play. You know, you take the same approach every game like it's Game 7.
Derek Jeter, thanks. Let's go back upstairs.
Charlie, home run in the first inning, triple in the third inning, and you figure maybe the first cycle ever in postseason play didn't happen, but again, hitting home runs the last 5 times, the first batter of the World Series. So the visiting team, Jeter, Henderson, Lenny Dykstra, Pete Rose did it in 72, and there's Lou Brock. It's happened 8 times. Jeter has 18 runs in 18 World Series games that have been played. Well, certainly, Buck, when we came into this, we talked about the New York Mets bullpen and its depth. And they seem to have straightened things out. We know what you're going to get with the New York Yankees. You're going to get Nelson, you're going to get Stanton, you're going to get Rivera. A little surprise in this one in Game 4 when you saw David Cohn.
Well, that's right. And Denny Nagel was surprised. We heard his thoughts about watching Joe Torre come out of the dugout. And Joe Torre made up his mind that he wasn't going to let Denny Nagel face Mike Piazza again. Piazza had homered against Nagel in his previous at-bat on a very good changeup down, a 2-run home run. That made it 3-2. But then 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning, David Cohn is summoned from the bullpen. And Cohn has not really pitched that well for Joe Torre lately, but he liked the matchup. David Cohn from the side gets Mike Piazza to pop up to end the 5th inning. He threw him some sliders, got it set up, and he beat him with a good fastball down and away. It's 1 out, but it was a huge out. That closed out the 5th. Then Jeff Nelson, facing Benny Agbayani, gets a comebacker, turns it into a double play. That ends the 6th inning. And then Nelson strikes out Jay Payton, leading off the 7th. And after a walk, the big thing about it was Mike Stanton comes out of the bullpen, gets Bubba Trammell to chase the high fastball, and then Stanton, the whole bullpen set up everything. And Joe Torre knew that if he could get to the 8th inning, he had Mariano Rivera for the 8th and 9th. And when you have that formula, it's pretty dramatic. But David Cohn made a contribution. And you heard Joe Torre talk about everybody on this club made a contribution tonight. They needed every pitch out of that bullpen. David Cohn got it started. And then that natural trio of Nelson, Stanton, and Rivera took over.
Been there, done that. Mariano, Mariotomatic. He has now, in the last 23 postseason games he's pitched for the Yankees, the New York Yankees have been victorious. The bullpen outstanding. Here are the numbers. David Cohn only a 1/3 of an inning, but it was huge. Nelson, Stanton, and Rivera, 4 1/3 no runs, very similar to the 5 1/3 no runs that they got out of the bullpen in Game 1. So Jeter, the Yankees, now 1 win away from another World Series, which would make it 4 in 5 years. We'll have much more from Shea Stadium when we continue on SportsCenter. Buck Showalter, Dave Campbell will join us as well. Rich Eisen down in the field. That's a little bit later on. For now, back to the studio.
Thank you, gentlemen. Don't forget you can log on.
Season, one of the constants has been Paul O'Neill, and he's been a constant source of offense in this World Series thus far. 9 hits. However, after Game 4, as you can see in his post-game chat with Charlie Steiner, despite the spelling, there is no I in O'Neill.
Paul, you're now 9 for 16 in the World Series. You've found yourself a groove at the right time. Mechanically, are you doing anything different?
We're going to talk about this. Is a wonderful game. I mean, this was pitching on both parts, 1-run games. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, it's gut-wrenching to be out there because 1 play, 1 hit can change it. You know, we did what we wanted tonight. We scored some runs early. Denny threw a great game and give the ball to Mariano, and we've been successful doing that.
Coming into this series, the question was the Met bullpen might have had an edge on your guys. Tonight, certainly not the case.
Well, neither. I mean, both bullpens have been strong. Both pitching staffs have been strong. I mean, 1-run game every game. I mean, a play here or there changes it. We know we're fortunate to be up 3-1 right now. It's a great place to be, obviously, but you can't assume anything. These guys are playing as hard as ever, and, you know, tomorrow we'll be here before you know it.
But you are awfully hot at the moment.
All right, Charlie. We'll see you tomorrow, all right?
All right. The team man, Paul O'Neill. Let's go back upstairs.
Thanks very much, Charlie. Paul may not want us to really mention this, but this is perhaps the first time he's ever enjoyed personal success at the plate in a World Series, batting .563 throughout the first 4 games of this Subway Series. This after batting just a .172 in 17 previous World Series games, starting with the 1990 Cincinnati Reds all the way up to last year's World Series. We will give a nod to the team concept. Teams with Paul O'Neill on the World Series roster, 19-3, and Dave Campbell along with Buck Showalter. Dave, we might have a 20-3 statistic to talk about with Paul O'Neill teams in the World Series if the New York Mets don't start hitting in Game 5 after just 6 hits in Game 4.
Oldest axiom in baseball is great pitching stops great hitting, and the Yankee pitching has been absolutely terrific. But it starts at the top of the order for the New York Mets. Timo Perez and Edgardo Alfonso helped fuel 12 runs in the first inning against the St. Louis Cardinals. They've had nada in this series. The two of them are 4 for 32. The New York Mets have struck out 41 times in 4 games. That's better than 10 a game. Their approach has not been real good. Now, I know it's very difficult to lay off a 97-mile-an-hour fastball upstairs. But against Roger Clemens, El Duque, and Rivera, you have to zone down. You can't catch up with a high gas. If they're going to do anything against Andy Pettitte, the opposite approach, they're going to have to zone up. But the first 2 guys in the lineup are going to have to start getting on base for Piazza and Zeal, or it's going to be probably an exit for the Mets soon.
Zeal is one of the only guys hitting consistently, 8 for 17 in this series. And Buck, you heard Dave talk about the solid Yankee pitching, but what about the guy who's calling the pitches behind the plate?
Yeah, that's true, Rich. I think that Jorge Posada, you're seeing a little bit of a coming out here. Dave was telling me earlier, he's now caught 15 straight games for the first time in his major league career. I think you see the confidence now that this pitching staff has in him. You see a good tempo when he's out there now. You don't see many people shaking him off. And it's just like an umpire. The greatest accolade when nobody really notices anything. Jorge's doing a great job behind the plate. He's got a lot of different pitchers coming into the game. He knows their strengths, their weaknesses. And, you know, they got rid of a guy named Joe Girardi, who was very well respected, not only in the game of baseball, but by the staff, pitching staff and his coaching staff. And I think it showed a lot of vision by the Yankees to know what they had in George Posada. And I think he's just done an outstanding job and put them in a position now to get this thing done.
Yeah, certainly back in spring training, folks were wondering how wise it was to let Joe Girardi go back to the Chicago Cubs. Well, if we're going to go back to the Bronx and use our tokens once again, Carl, Al Leiter is going to have to come up big once again in the postseason in Game 5.
That's true, Rich, and he has certainly done it in bigger spots than this. We'll see how he does. We'll talk about Game 5 a little bit later on, and the decision to take Denny Nagel out when SportsCenter rolls on.
All right, great stuff from Shea. Former Yankee Darryl Strawberry taken into custody Wednesday after testing positive for cocaine. Strawberry admitted he left a drug treatment center for about 4 hours late Saturday night to smoke crack. The often troubled slugger is 2 months into 2 years of house arrest for violating probation. Strawberry will be back in court Thursday. His parole officer is expected to recommend he be jailed for 30 days, then fitted with an electronic monitoring device. When SportsCenter returns,
and among the items on the docket, of course, Game 5 of the World Series, the final game at Shea. Will the Mets send it out a winner, or will the Yankees prevail? Kenny Mayne will join us once again from New York, and Tiger Woods back on tour as he defends his title at the Disney World National Car Rental Classic in Orlando. What other reason do you need to watch? Be a part of the fun.
I registered my knowledge.
I registered 3, Mets 2. The Yankees have won the last 23 postseason games that Rivera has pitched in. What a weapon Joe Torre has, and what a depressant for guys like Mike Piazza. Remember, there was a decision as to who was going to start Game 4 for Joe Torre. Would it be David Cone with all the success he's had here at Shea Stadium, or would it be Denny Nagel, who, like Cone, has also had success at Shea Stadium? 6-2 with a 2.11 ERA, and earlier this season as a Red pitched very well. He ended up going with Nagel. And then once we got into the game, there was another decision concerning Denny Nagel and David Cone and the rest of the Yankee bullpen. With more on that, here's Mark Schwartz.
Mike Piazza had already taken Denny Nagel deep once. And if the baseball gods were a bit kinder to the Mets catcher, it would have been twice. So when Piazza came to the plate with 2 outs and nobody on in the 5th, Joe Torre decided he'd seen quite enough of Nagel.
Denny was obviously disappointed when I went out there. I looked at look in his eye, and he was shocked. But it's just something that if I hadn't done it and had thought about doing it and something bad happened, I never would have been able to forgive myself for it.
I feel like, I was pitching well enough to stay in the game, but as I said, I think Joe was probably thinking that, he remembered the home run that Piazza hit the last at bat. It was fresh in his mind.
So Torre turned to a man most unfamiliar with this role, a man whose forgettable season included a stretch in which the Yankees lost 13 straight games he started. A man whose postseason consisted of 1 inning of mop-up relief. A man who was facing a batter who's in scoring position every time he stepped to the plate.
I knew I was facing probably one of the best hitters I've ever faced in Mike Piazza, so I was just kind of worried about that.
There's always concern. There's no question. But I knew when Coney came into the game, that the trust factor was still there in my mind.
This is the World Series. Joe manages to win. And, you know, every out, as I said before, is a commodity.
And no out was bigger than this Piazza pop-up to end the fifth. Cone said that stepping on the Shea stage he once owned created a tremendous adrenaline rush. But not for a moment did he think about a season in which he won only 4 of his 29 starts.
I said it at the end of the season. You know, when the regular season was over, my ERA went from 6.9 to 0. You know, we started over, and that's the mentality you have to have in the postseason.
Cone says actually he was thinking about October's past, and evidently so was Torrey. Reporting from the World Series, I'm Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much. And now that we know that both bullpens have had success, I mean, the Met bullpen has sort of righted itself. We can look ahead to Game 5, where the bullpens were needed in Game 1, although not till late, with both pitching phenomenally, Al Leiter and Andy Pettitte. Now that we're going to see both those guys again, another left-handed pitcher facing the New York Mets, does Timo Perez, who is not hitting very well in this World Series, 125, maybe come out and perhaps we see a Benny Agbayani or something like that?
I think that's possible, Carl. I think Bobby Valentine has to really contemplate his lineup when he faces Al Leiter, because Leiter was tough on him. 7 innings, 5 hits, 7 strikeouts in Game 1. And he might put Benny Agbayani in the top of the order, and he might even bring Curt Abbott, a right-handed bat, into the lineup at shortstop. So he's got to spark the offense a little bit. And the big thing about this lineup is Andy Pettitte is awfully tough against these right-handers. He cuts the ball inside, but I think Timo Perez might be sat down, give somebody else a start, put Agbayani at the top of the order.
Zeal had a couple of hits in Game 4. They'd like to see more productivity from Robert Ventura, despite the fact that he did hit a home run in Game 3, 0 for 3 in Game 4. Maybe Bubba Trammell is another name we see, because he's 8 for 19 against Andy Pettitte. And as far as the New York Mets go, cliche to say backs against the wall. Not a cliche to say, though, down 3-1, this is not over.
Well, no, it's not over. I think the thing, looking back at Game 4, through the series, really, they have never quit. I thought Game 4 was going to be the big turn of the tide. Obviously, with the Yankees up 3-1, you can say, well, that's pretty obvious that they are in the driver's seat. But I felt like the Mets continued to battle, and they will continue to do that. The biggest thing, I think, though, as Buck touched on it, has been Timo Perez, because of the fact he's on a learning curve here in the World Series, the biggest stage of them all. The Giants had very little scouting report on him. The Cardinals had that much more. The Yankees have had that much more of an opportunity to exploit him, and I think that's why he has struggled. Nothing against his ability. He's just learning at a big stage at a big time.
The Mets will play Game 5 with desperation. The Yankees will also play Game 5 with desperation. Buck, Harold, Carl, we send it back to the studio.
We love the baseball. We also like the hockey. Avs Chris Drury. Late game magic against the Predators. We got 2 words for you. Top place.
At Benjamin Moore, we listen to our customers.
Choosing a color shouldn't be that hard to do.
They told us what they wanted.
The end of color confusion.
So we designed the new color.
A master of her craft, who takes it quite seriously. Quality wood can't be trusted to just anyone. Nice Lumber in Lambertville has been offering quality wood products. And
David Cohn's last performance as a major league pitcher, maybe, but then that trio took over. Jeff Nelson, Mike Stanton, and Mariano Rivera. Enough just can't be said about those 3 guys.
And we came on the air tonight talking about Paul O'Neill, the right fielder for the Yankees. He's doing it again. He has a couple more hits tonight and a sliding catch in the 8th inning. I mean, what else can he do? And he's doing it all with a bad hip.
Derek Jeter and Paul O'Neill was really the offensive story of the Yankees tonight. It's hard to believe that the Yankees have a 3-1 lead, and Bernie Williams doesn't have a hit yet.
Meanwhile, tomorrow night, a matchup.
If there's anybody you want in this situation, it's the guy who started the 7th game of the World Series and that playoff game last year against the Reds, and critical game after critical game for the Mets in his tenure here and with other teams.
Yeah, right now the 2 teams are in the best possible situation that they could be in, given the situation that they're in. Al Leiter's going to the mound for the Mets. That's the guy that they want out there. But for the Yankees, they got Pettitte going to the mound as well. He's the guy that started Game 1 for them, and they have a 3-1 advantage here, which means that the Yankees can be so much more aggressive on every play that they make out there. They don't have to worry about making mistakes. mistakes, because if it comes back to haunt them, they're still just up 3-2 in the series. The Mets have to play maybe a little bit more conservatively. Mistakes can kill them and put their season away. And I'm finally happy that we finally found a guy in baseball that actually knows what a must-win situation is. Jay Payton finally realized, well, if you lose tomorrow, you go home. That's right. That's what must-win is.
Yes, that message has gotten across. I think the Mets understand it, and so do their fans. What are we going to see tomorrow, Kevin?
I think Leiter's going to come up big tomorrow. I expect this guy to come out lights on fire, have that good cutter going against the New York Yankees, a hard fastball. And remember, Rick Reed pitched last night, which means tomorrow is his throw day. So if anything happens to Al Leiter, everybody will be available with the exception of Mike Hampton. I'm sure Mike Hampton will be ready for Saturday's game should there be one. So they're going to just have to throw everybody out there, lay it on the table, and see what happens.
And we will be here, and we will lay it on the table, too. And only a figurative sense.
In a must-win situation.
In a must-win situation for us.
Or else we go home.
We go home. I've lost control of this somehow. Thank you, Steve. For Steve Lyons, I'm Kevin Kennedy. I'm Keith Olbermann. I have lost control of the situation. The Yankees have not. They lead 3-1. More coverage later on in the National Sports Report.
Thank you so much. The Mets certainly had their work cut out for them because it's been 15 years since the team rallied from a 3-1 deficit in a World Series. The Royals, the last to do it when they rallied to beat the Cardinals. To make matters worse, the Mets will have to win the final 2 games, of course, at Yankee Stadium, provided they can even get that far.
Game 5 of the Mets and Yankees is Thursday night, and you can see it on Fox. The lefties Al Leiter and Andy Pettitte will face each other at 8:25 Eastern. Keith Olbermann, Steve Lyons handle the pregame stuff starting at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific.
2 men tried to bring home a souvenir from Game 3 of the World Series, and it also cost them a night in jail. Jason Wolf and Sean M. Braden were arrested Tuesday night after plucking a handful of turf at Shea. The men were charged with criminal mischief and were released on bond. Sounds kind of harsh, but apparently New York's finest doing their best to send out a message that nothing out of the ordinary will be tolerated in the Apple.
That's right. Certainly not the first time that guys have gone to the slammer for possessing grass.
Very well put, Mr. Garcia.
Well, that's why they pay me the small bucks.
I thought it was the big buck.
No, that's you. Coming up later, a football player turns in a helmet for a tiara. And if you didn't have a ticket to the World Series, you can still feel like you did by watching our final cut at the end of the hour.
Still to come.
Hi, it's us. That is John Anderson, and I'm Linda Cohn. We are your Sports Center tour guides. First stop, Shea Stadium, Game 4 of the World Series. And going in, John, the Mets were 3-0 all-time in Game 4s of the World Series.
And now I do the math. A loss would not only drop them to 3-1 in Game 4s, but also put them down 3-1 to the Yanks in the series. On the bump, Denny Nagel for the Stripes, Bobby J. Jones for the Mets. For Baseball Stadium in Queens, Joe Torre. Which buttons would he push correctly in this one? Well, Chuck Knobloch again, not in the starting lineup. Luis Sojo in the lineup. And so at the top of the lineup, hitting Derek Jeter on the very first pitch of the game, he homers off Jones. 16th leadoff homer in series history. First since Ricky Henderson in '89. First on a first pitch since Pete Rose in '72. Bottom first, one on Denny Nagel to Mike Piazza, and that's awfully high. But it's just a long strike. Look at Piazza, not exactly Carlton Fisk. Same at bat. Nagel blows away Piazza. 3 Ks for Nagel in his stint of 4 2/3 inning. Top second, Yanks still up 1-0. Paul O'Neill. This is a man who had exactly 0 triples in his first 69 postseason games and now has 2 in 2 nights. Timo Perez kind of juggles it around. O'Neill would later come in to score. Got to walk home the last 90. Scott Brocious a sac fly. Yanks up 2-0. Top third, same score, and there's Jeter. And Derek Jeter is so cute. This one will stay in the park, but he too going to go 3 bags. He now has a 13-game World Series hitting streak. That's the 4th longest in the history of the Fall Classic. And who's there to watch him but A-Rod? Soon to be, maybe, Shea-Rod. Next batter, Sojo. Again, what do we say about Torrey? He gets a guy to drive in a run. Little grounder, Jeter scores his 18th run in 18 World Series games. The Yanks up 3-0. Bottom third, same score, 1 on Nagel against Piazza and Piazza. This one is very, very fair. His 2nd homer of the series, 4th of the postseason. The Mets back in it, down just 3-2, a 2-run shot. Piazza 4 ribs in the series. Top 5th, same score. David Justice hits a grounder. And how about Edgardo Alfonso? You cannot spell glove without love. Mets get out of the inning. Home half of the 5th. Joe Torre decides to pull Nagel when he sees Piazza, and he brings in David Cone. Joe Torre, bravest man in the world. And Cone gets Piazza to pop up. It'd be a home run if we were playing in a silo, but we're not. We're playing at Shea. And Piazza now 1 for 4 lifetime against Cone. Top 6, 2 on, 2 out. Let's bring in Jose Canseco, who once had a 0 for 23 streak in the World Series. And Glendon Rush gets him looking. Canseco never takes the bat off his shoulder. Go to the bottom of the 6th, still 3-2 Yanks. 1 on for Benny Agbayani. Drove in the winning run in Game 3 Tuesday. In this one, right back at Chuck Nelson, the stab, and doubles off Todd Zeal. He is pleased with himself. Bottom 7, Mike Stanton. Winner in Game 1, facing Kurt Abbott. Stanton faced 2 guys, struck them both out. That was some high heat. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th. It's remaining 3-2. Mariano Rivera, you don't like to see that if you're the other team. And Alfonso hits one shallow, starting. First batter of the inning. Paul O'Neill is there for some defense. After that, he gets Piazza to ground out to Jeter. Todd Zeal would single, and Robin Ventura, he goes through the big hitters. This one popped up as well, and there is Derek Jeter. He gloves it. 8th inning over. The Mets with just 3 outs left. Bottom of the 9th. How about down to their last chance? Rivera facing Matt Franco, who just looks at strike 3. The Yanks bullpen, all quality. Piazza disappointed. Jeter gliding through the city again. Yanks win it by a count of 3-2. Their third 1-run win gives them a 3-1 lead. Mets can find inspiration, though, in the 85 Royals. The last team to overcome a 3-1 World Series deficit beat St. Louis. Yanks pent 4 1/3, 2 hits, 0 runs, 5 Ks. Stanton, 1.08 ERA, the lowest by any reliever with 15 innings pitched in a series. And the Yanks 30-1 since the 96 playoffs began when leading after 6 innings. Get to them early. That, of course, just the tip of the information iceberg. For more, we go to Carl Ravitch and all of his baseball friends.
And we are at Shea Stadium, and alongside Buck Martinez and Howard Reynolds, I am Carl Ravitch. Well, we saw that 14 consecutive World Series winning streak halted after Game 3, so the Yankees figure, okay, we'll start another one, and that is exactly what they have done, and it has been the same recipe for success that we've seen 3 of the last 4 World Series that they've been in. Success comes from good bullpen work, which they certainly got in Game 4. It comes from clutch hitting, which they certainly got in Game 4, from guys like Derek Jeter, from veterans like Paul O'Neill. Tino Martinez has contributed as well. Scott Brocious has contributed as well. The New York Mets now know what the Braves know, what the Padres know. However, when you look at the scores of the first 4 games, there is no reason to think that the Mets, despite being down 3-1, are out.
I don't know if this time of the season you change any approach to hitting. I think we can hit, and we'll hit better. They've made good pitches, especially out of the bullpen in a few games that they played.
And God, it was a tough ball game tonight. It really was. We needed every single bit of contribution that we got from every pitcher out there. It, obviously feels good because you know how dominant this ball club is in this ballpark. And, if you told me 3 runs were going to be all we needed after that, Piazza's home run, I wouldn't have believed it.
When I first saw Joe, I didn't even know he was coming out until all of a sudden I turned around to get the ball back, turned and saw Joe coming, and I really did think, okay, he was going to talk about the situation. You got a base, obviously a couple bases open, nobody on. Maybe be careful with Piazza or whatever. And when he was reaching for, the ball, I was obviously shocked. And, because as I said, it comes down to the fact that you're a competitor. I'm a professional athlete. I want to be out there competing and doing my thing.
Yes, I did hear the cheering when I walked off, mainly from the box right by our dugout, which included the mayor. So, yeah, it was nice, though. It was nice to just get one out. Every out's a commodity in the postseason.
It was a tough game for us. And, I just know personally, as I said, we went out there and we busted our ass, and unfortunately we just couldn't get over the hump. So it's it's a tough position to be in. But, we played tough, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow.
Piazza had a home run. It was the only extra base hits for the Mets, who came up with 6 hits in the game against that good Yankee pitching. 7-3 as the way it breaks down in 2000. And look at the runs. The New York Yankees have outscored the Mets by 2 in 10 games. You see the home run numbers there, but again, it's pitching which has been the difference in the bullpen. But offensively, neither team had gotten much out of their leadoff spot. In fact, 1-2 for the New York Mets. Timo Perez and Edgardo Alfonso, each with only 2 hits in this series. On the other side, Joe Torre switched things up a little bit. Derek Jeter, first pitch he saw, out of the building, and we see his effect game in and game out, whether it's a home run, whether it's going from first to home as he did in Game 3, sets the tone not only with his bat, just his presence, doesn't
Well,
it?
it seems like, throughout the course of the year, you're going to find a stretch where Derek Jeter is on base 50 games in a row or something outrageous.
To the right side, down the line. Slicing foul. Tino Martinez. What a catch. 1 out. Wow, what a play by Tino Martinez.
From legendary catches to legendary coaches.
Who did the best job, and to the surprise of no one, skipper Joe Torre wins in overwhelming fashion.
We've got Mo email. Pete from Akron has a crush on Joe Torre. How could Joe Torre not be the best manager in Yankee history in 1998? Led them to the best record ever. Enough said.
Whether you're a New Yorker or just somebody on the outside looking in and wondering what the big deal is, you won't want to miss the special final cut coming your way next.
Ready, set. I'm down! Ready to go! Who let the Mets out El Duque? El Duque! Who let the Mets out El Duque? El Duque! Who let the...
Gone fishing. There's a sign up on his door. Gone fishing.
Many decisions to make. You can widen your horizons with a thermal replacement window, bow, or bay, a sun garden window. A custom doorway is the perfect touch of class for any home. You can add new dimensions to your living space with porch enclosures, even decks. And the superior strength and beauty of vinyl siding and roofing speaks for itself. It's all available at Somerville Aluminum.
And now, with lower bank interest rates, you can refinance, improve your home, and still have a lower monthly payment. Somerville Aluminum will make your home your castle.
Think of words that mean fresh, like cold in a fresh meat case, ice in fresh seafood, oven warm in a fresh bakery, fresh produce wet with mist, golden as in a fresh rotisserie chicken. At McCaffrey Supermarkets, we've got a way with words that mean fresh. But we think one taste is worth 1,000 words. Taste the freshness at McCaffrey Supermarkets.
A man on the moon, global communications in the blink of an eye, the birth of a child, all are special wonders. So are the vision corrections performed every day at Wills Laser Vision at Princeton. Dr. Anita Mijak and her colleagues have been recognized by the world-renowned Wills Eye Hospital for their excellence as leaders in correcting the vision of thousands of people through the use of the LASIK procedure. To schedule a free LASIK screening or for more information, call us at Wills Laser Vision. Seeing is believing.
And when the Mets were good, the Yankees were bad. Yeah, baby! This is low and underway in the first Subway Series in 44 years. The Mets are warming up Dennis Cook to pitch the bottom of the 10th inning. This is the 51st extra inning game in World Series history. I'll kill someone if he doesn't drive someone in right now. Boy, it's going to be interesting tomorrow when Roger Clemens stares down at Mike Piazza for the first time since hitting him in the head, and that's going to be more than a sidebar in tomorrow's game. Ready, says. One down, ready to go. Yes, Roger. You throw inside, everybody starts crying and complaining. Okay. I hope you see it tonight. Okay, I gotta go into the game.
In my view right now, Roger Clemens is dead wrong.
Well, they've already gotten out of the Piazza Clemens mess without a huge incident.
Hi, Michael K. I am a Met fan, and yes, please just let me finish, and I'll let you speak as long as you need to. I want to say that I have a lot of respect for you and John Sterling.
Clemens was fined $50,000.
How about this concept, Mike? 24 hours later, I was asking people who thought like you, what do you think the Mets should have done? When a guy throws a bat, it is such a shock.
You don't know what you would do in front of 50,000 people with a bat thrown at you, and you, the big Shushka knocker in the booth, you know what you're going to do. I don't believe you, Mike. Mike, you owe the Mets an apology. You owe the Mets an apology, Mike. Mike, Piazza took the hot. You sound like Clemens. You sound like Clemens. And I think that for baseball's sake in front of the world, the Mets deserve a standing ovation.
talk, because their talk was negative, but their actions were positive.
How are you wrong? I dropped a brick on your head, and I didn't intend to. You're responsible for your actions. You're a media guy. You're supposed to be impartial. You're changing my words. Oh, he's not macho like the Yankees would be. So what?
If this Clemens is a clown, everyone was freaking out. It was surreal. Well, I heard everything you said.
You don't know what you would do, Mike. It's indefensible, and I don't buy it. I don't know what I would do, Mike. I really don't know.
I'm sorry. You're right. I was a little defensive, Mike. I'm sorry.
Sayers, I appreciate you being a man and talking to me because you have no reason to. You have nothing to gain.
Sure does make for interesting living, doesn't it? Gotta love being in New York.
Who let the Mets out El Duque?